Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chet Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudire Nashtapraesha Bhadreshu Nityam Bhakta Sevaya Bhagavati Uttamam Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtike. Continuing with the discussion on Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 24, the renunciation of Karta Muni, text number 40 onwards. Matra adhyatmikim vidyam shamnim sarvakarmana vitarishyate yachaso vayam chati tarishyati. I shall also describe this sublime knowledge, which is a door to the spiritual life, to my mother, so that she can also attain perfection and self-realization, ending all reactions to fruitive activities. Thus, she will also be freed from all material fear. Kardamuni was anxious about his good wife, Devahuti, while leaving home. And so the worthy son promised that not only would Kardamuni be freed from the material entanglement, but Devahuti would also be freed by receiving it set here. The husband goes away, taking the sannyas order for self-realization. But his representative, the son, who is equally educated, remains at home to deliver the mother. A sannyasi is not supposed to take his wife with him. At the vanprastha stage of retired life, or the stage midway between householder and renounced life, one may keep his wife as an assistant without sex relations. But in the sannyas order of life, one cannot keep his wife with him. Otherwise, a person like Kardamuni could have kept his wife with him, and there would have been no hindrance to his prosecution or self-realization. So Prabhupada is further explaining about sannyasa ashram. In the vanprastha stage, which is a retired stage and which is the prelude to the sannyasa stage, when the man goes out to all the different kind of tirthas and tries to live over there, it is said the wife can go with him. Which means she can go or she may remain home, whatever. But when the man takes sannyas, he leaves the house, he will have no relationship with the wife or the household at all. Just like Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, when he took sannyas and he left, so he took sannyas at Katwa, there is a village called Katwa, and from there he was brought to Shantipur, Advaitacharya's house. And at Shantipur, Nityananda Prabhu arranged for Sachimata to come. But Vishnupriya, the wife of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, she didn't come from Navadvip to Shantipur. So Sachimata came, and Mahaprabhu told her, now I have taken sannyas, I cannot go home, I cannot even see you at home. So what to do? So Sachimata then instructed Mahaprabhu, okay, you go to Jagannath Puri, you live over there. At least I'll get the news, get your message that you're okay. But Vishnupriya didn't come and didn't see Chaitanya Mahaprabhu at all. So that is one of the requirements of sannyasa ashram. Otherwise, see, the problem is, otherwise the sannyasi he might get distracted and he might get the attachment developed again for his wife and his family. So sannyasi idea is he should be fully surrendered at the lotus feet of the Lord. Means no more attachment anywhere. And because he had spent quite a few number of years with the wife and intimate relationship, so he might develop that attachment again. So this is also like Kardamuni, that's why he is setting an example all of future sannyasis to follow. Of course, on the other hand, Srila Prabhupada, he took sannyas in 1955 or 56. And then he went to USA in 1965 and established ISKCON all over the world. When he came back, and then he established ISKCON in India. He was living in Mumbai, and then he established Vrindavan Temple, Mayapur Temple was built. So I believe in 1975 or 76, maybe early part of 77, sometime like that, when Prabhupada was in Mayapur, his wife from Calcutta, she came with her son or daughter, I don't remember, to see Prabhupada. And Prabhupada would be with his disciples, he did not see her alone. But she had no place to go, so Prabhupada made an arrangement for her to stay in the ashram, in the guest house at Mayapur. So then Prabhupada was at a different stage, and I'm not saying he was greater than Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. This is not what I'm trying to say, but somehow that was the need of the hour. So Prabhupada made the arrangement for her to stay. On the same note, Gaur Govind Maharaj, one of Prabhupada's disciples, very elevated, very advanced soul, he was from Odisha, he was from Bhubaneswar, or he was from Gadaigiri actually, but he later established a temple in Bhubaneswar, and when he took sannyas. So he was an householder, and he had wife and a daughter, maybe a son also. And before taking sannyas, he was working, and he was a teacher. From very childhood, he was looking for a spiritual master, bona fide one. And somehow that desire was there in the heart, even though he got married and he was teaching. And when he was little, he had memorized the whole Bhagavad Gita, and he would give lectures on Bhagavad Gita. So somehow, when he was young, after marriage and after children, somehow he went to Vrindavan because he really wanted to search for a guru. And in Vrindavan, there was this Pandal festival that ISKCON had arranged. And somehow Gaur Govind Maharaj met Srila Prabhupada. And as soon as Prabhupada saw him, that is Prabhupada. Prabhupada saw him, and Maharaj paid obeisances to Prabhupada. And when he got up, Prabhupada asked him, "Have you taken sannyas?" This was like, everybody was shocked. And Maharaj said, "No, I haven't." And Prabhupada said, "I will give you sannyas." So Prabhupada gave him initiation, Prabhupada gave him sannyas, and then he asked him to go to Bhubaneswar and open the temple there. And translate Prabhupada's books in Odia language. So Gaur Govind Maharaj just took sannyas and went back to Bhubaneswar. But he never went back to his house. So once Gaur Govind Maharaj was giving lecture near his village, or it was in his village, somewhere there. And the villagers, his neighbors, came to see him, old neighbors. So they said, "Maharaj, it's good you have taken sannyas, and no problem, no issues, but the only problem is your wife and kids, they are living in very desperate situation. They're very poverty stricken. So if you can sign these papers, because you were a teacher before in a government school, If you can sign some papers, at least they will get the pension that you are supposed to get, and they'll live, and somehow they'll make it through. But Gaur Govind Maharaj, he was so strict. Strict in the sense he had full faith in Krishna. He said, no, a sannyasi is not supposed to have any relationship with his prior family. So I'm going to just rely upon Krishna and I'm not going to sign these papers. Let Krishna take care of them. So I don't know, a few days later or some time later, he was giving one lecture someplace in Odisha. One young man, he got up and he asked everybody, who is this Maharaj? And he gives such a nice lecture, that wonderful realizations he has, and he has great knowledge. And he said, who is this Maharaj? And where is he from? And what's his family like? And this and that. So people told him he's from this village and he was a teacher. Now his family is living in abject poverty. Nobody's to look after them. So that boy, that young man, actually he was the son of a very wealthy person. And he said, I will marry his daughter and I'll take care of his previous family, his wife and his sons. So Krishna did make arrangement for Maharaj's family to be looked after. So it's not that if we surrender into Krishna, that Krishna will not take care of the family. What's so difficult for Krishna? It's just we have to have faith. That part is missing. That's the problem. So sannyas means one has to have fixed, firm faith. Because sannyas order means one has to fully surrender himself. So firm faith that Krishna will take care, that Sharanagati, that 6 symptoms of Sharanagati have to be fully developed in the body or in the consciousness of a sannyasi. That is sannyas, change of consciousness. And Krishna does take care. What's so difficult for him? It's not at all difficult. He's taking care of the whole universe, all the living entities, whether they are serving Krishna or not, whether they are in human body or not, doesn't matter. He takes care of everybody. He maintains everybody. So why won't he maintain a devotee's family the devotee who has surrendered fully and taken shelter of his lotus? So why won't he take care of this? Karna Muni followed the Vedic injunction that no one in sannyas life can have any kind of relationship with women. Or what's the position of a woman who is left by her husband? She is entrusted to the son, and the son promises that he will deliver his mother from entanglement. A woman is not supposed to take sannyas. So-called spiritual societies, concocted in modern times, give sannyas even to women. Although there is no sanction in the Vedic literature for women's accepting sannyas. Otherwise, if it was sanctioned, Karna Muni could have taken his wife and given her sannyas. The woman must remain at home. She has only 3 stages of life: dependency on the father in the childhood, dependency on husband in youth, and in old age, dependency on the grown-up son, such as Kapila. In old age, the progress of women depends on the grown-up son. The ideal son, Kapil Muni, is assuring his father of the deliverance of his mother so that his father may be peaceful without anxiety for his goodbye. So this dependency of the father in childhood, dependency on husband in youth, and old age dependency on grown-up son. So that dependency is basically a protection, because women are supposed to be looked after, supposed to be protected, supposed to be given security by men. Security everywhere, physical, financial, emotional, spiritual, every way. Because this is how Krishna has created. Women are not supposed to, in Vedic sense, not supposed to go out and earn money. This is a job of men. They're supposed to provide for them. They're supposed, like Prabhupada said, women must remain at home, but not at home in the sense that men take advantage of them, or men abuse them, or men just put them through bad treatment. That's not how it's supposed to. Dependency on the husband and you does not mean women is a slave. No. Dependency means they should be loving atmosphere at home, and they should be loving, caring relationship between husband and wife. Women should understand that man is caretaker and man is providing for the family. Man is a servant of Krishna, so I should serve him in such a way that he can make progress. And just like previously in the context of Iti and Kashyap when he was dead, that women is supposed to give like a protection to the husband. In what way? So that his senses are satisfied with his wife. So he does not think of any other woman or any other relation. So women provide this kind of boundary or kind of a security. So women also provide security. Men provide security. Men provide security in terms of physical security, emotional, financial, spiritual. But women provide security to the men in terms of controlling his senses, helping him controlling his senses. So they both are interdependent. That is why there's the ashram. It's called Grihastha ashram. It can be an ashram if they both, husband and man and woman, they are looking after each other, they're caring for each other's spiritual progress, as well as material well-being. But slowly, with more Kali Yuga is progressing, all this these kind of responsibilities are just fading away slowly. There's so many divorces, even in ISKCON. ISKCON, I think, has higher divorce rate than the regular society outside, because of many different reasons. Both men and women both are at fault. I'm saying so one side is at fault, both are at fault, and our expectation level has become so high. Just like very jokingly, devotees say that girls these days, in ISKCON, girls want husband should be good looking, should know the scriptures very well, should be good, should give good lectures, should sing kirtan very nicely, should be making good money, should be looking after the girl very nicely, very gently, and should not demand that the wife should take care of his parents, should not demand that the wife should be cooking at home, and should not demand to have kids because we don't want kids. So girls have all these expectations from a future husband. And the husband and the boys, they have only two expectations. They're very simple. See, boys are very simple. What are the expectations? That the girl should be Mirabai and Miss India in one. How in the world is it possible? So when the expectations they're not fulfilled, they don't match, then there are problems. Then there are fightings at home, then the blame games goes on, and then ends up in divorce, in separation. Well, it's better to get divorced than to kill each other at home. That's also one of the considerations. Anyway, so in the ideal situation, this is an ideal family. Kardamuni, Devhuti, and their son, Kapildev. Text 41. Maitre vacha evam samudistastena kapilena prajapati dakshini kritya tam prito vaname jagamaha. Sri Maitreya said, thus when Kardamuni, the progenitor of human society, was spoken to in fullness by his son, Kapila, he circumambulated him, and with a good, pacified mind, he at once left for the forest. Going to the forest is compulsory for everyone. Wow. Going to the forest is compulsory for everyone. But these days we go to the real forest, which is Vrindavan. So one is there, but that is Vrindavan. It's not a mental excursion upon which one person goes and another does not. Everyone should go to the forest at least as a vanprastha. Forest going means to take 100% shelter of the Supreme Lord, as explained by Prahlad Maharaj in his talks with his father, Sada Samudrignadriya. People who have accepted a temporary material body are always full of anxieties. One should not, therefore, be very much affected by this material body, but should try to be freed. The preliminary process to become freed is to go to the forest or give up family relationships and exclusively engage in Krishna consciousness. That is the purpose of going to the forest. Otherwise, the forest is only a place of monkeys and wild animals. To go to the forest does not mean to become a monkey or a ferocious animal. It means to accept exclusively the shelter of the Supreme Personality of Godhead and engage oneself in full service. So this is advice for everybody, because going to the forest means what? Actually, means we are fully surrendered. In what way? Because in the forest, we're not going to create a big bungalow or even create a big house for ourselves. We're not going to have all the comforts that we are used to living in the house in the city. In the forest, we won't be able to find even proper food. We have to depend upon Krishna to even provide us food, even fruits. Those who don't have any knowledge of the trees or the plants and which fruits are poisonous and which fruits are not, they can die over there eating wrong fruit. There are so many berries there, they are poisonous. So one has to know which berry is right and which is not. Forest can provide everything for a man's sustenance, but one has to know. And then there could be ferocious animals. At night there could be snakes, insects. So one has to be very careful. So the idea is to go to the forest and surrender. Krishna will protect his surrendered devotee. He always does. So that part, that surrender or that faith in Krishna, taking shelter of Krishna, so to speak, that will automatically develop when one gets out of his comfort zone. So that's why this going to forest is very much recommended. It's not recommended that till our last breath we remain at home, surrounded by family members. And the wife, whether she's there or she has left her body, and the sons or daughters are there, and then the grandkids are there, and then my friends are there outside my house. Although we all are grown old, but still they're my friends, and I can talk to them, and I can confide in them, and I can go for walk with them, and I can join a laughing club in the park with them. That's not old age is for. And then I come home and watch TV and read newspaper and discuss politics or play cards or play chess. That's not what old life is for. It's for self-realization. But the problem is, if we haven't practiced it when we are young, then it's close to impossible to take it up when we are old. So one does not actually have to go to the forest. At the present moment, this is not at all advisable for a man who has spent his life all along in big cities. As explained by Prahlad Maharaj, Hitvatma Bhatam Griham Andakupam, one should not remain always engaged in the responsibility of family life, because family life without Krishna consciousness is just like a blind well. Alone in a field, if one falls into a blind well and no one is there to save him, he may cry for years and no one will see or hear where the crying is coming from. Death is sure. Similarly, those who are forgetful of the eternal relationship with the Supreme Lord are in the blind well of family life. Their position is very ominous. Prahlad Maharaj advised that one should give up this well somehow or other and take to Krishna consciousness and thus be freed from material entanglement, which is full of anxieties. So idea is to take shelter of Krishna, take shelter of the holy name, chant the holy name, read Bhagavatam. Pretty much whole day we can be engaged in the service of the Lord. That's the whole idea. Vritam sahasthito maunam atmek sharano munihi nisango vyacharat shonim anagnir aniketanaha. The sage Kardam accepted silence as a vow in order to think of the Supreme Personality of Godhead and take shelter of Him exclusively. Without association, he traveled over the surface of the globe as a sannyasi, devoid of any relationship with fire or shelter. Wow. Means no cooking. Means no relationship with fire means no cooking and no shelter. Not even a hut made for himself. Here the words anagnir aniketana are very significant. A sannyasi should be completely detached from fire and any residential quarters. A grihastha has a relationship with fire, either for offering sacrifices or for cooking. But a sannyasi is freed from these two responsibilities. He does not have to cook or offer fire for sacrifice because he is always engaged in Krishna consciousness. Therefore, he has already accomplished all ritualistic performances of religion. Aniketanaha means without lodging. He should not have his own house, but should depend completely on the Supreme Lord for his food and lodging. He should travel. So that's a job, that's a responsibility or duties of a sannyasi. Mona means silence. Unless one becomes silent, he cannot think completely about the pastimes and activities of the Lord. It is not that because one is a fool and cannot speak nicely, he therefore takes a vow of Mauna. Rather, one becomes silent so that people will not disturb him. It is said by Chanakya Pandit that a rascal appears very intelligent as long as he does not speak. But speaking is a test. The so-called silence of his silent, impersonalist Swami indicates that he has nothing to say. He simply wants to beg. But the silence adopted by Karda Muni was not like that. He became silent for relief from nonsensical talk. One is called as Muni when he remains grave and does not talk nonsense. Maharaj Amrish set a very good example. Whenever he spoke about the pastimes of the Lord. So Karda Muni accepted the vow of Mauna, means he was not going to speak anything, forget about anything nonsense. But Amrish Maharaj, he spoke, so he also took the vow of Mauna, because whenever he spoke about the pastimes of the Lord. So that is also Mauna, that is the real Mauna actually. Mauna necessitates refraining from nonsensical talk and engaging the talking facility in the pastimes of the Lord. In that way, one can chant and hear about the Lord in order to perfect his life. Vratam means that one should take a vow as explained in Bhagavad Gita, amanitvam adambitvam, without hankering for personal respect and without being proud of one's material position. Ahimsa means not being violent. There are 18 processes for attaining knowledge and perfection, and by his vow, Karda Muni adopted all the principles of self-realization. So these 18 processes are given in Bhagavad Gita. We studied that. So he accepted the vow of Mauna, silence. In Kumbh Mela, when we go, there are many Babas who come from Himalayas to take bath in Prayagraj at Sangam. So one Kumbh Mela I was there, and there was one Baba, and he had or even like, I have seen this, but Prabhupada also, during Prabhupada's time also there was one Baba, and he was carrying a slate and a chalk, because he had taken the vow of Mauna, silence. And people will go near to him and they will ask him a question, but he would just write the answer. He would not speak. Because speaking is something we have no control over. As soon as we get a chance, we just want to speak. We want, whether it is nonsense or make sense or according to the subject matter or not, time, place, circumstance, we don't care. We just want to speak. We just want to talk. So this Baba, since he was just writing everything on the slate, people were getting fascinated by his austerity. Of course, it's an austerity, but the real austerity is to speak, because the instrument of tongue is given by the Lord for the purpose of speaking. But speaking of what? Speaking of transcendental subject, pastimes of the Lord. That is a right speaking. Or that is a right Mauna also. Not just talking something nonsense, whatever comes to our mind. Text 43. Mano Brahmani Vijnanam Yattat Sat Asattat Param Gurabhase Gunam Ek Bhaktiyanubhavite. He fixed his mind upon the Supreme Personality of God, Parabrahman, who is beyond cause and effect, who manifests the three modes of material nature, who is beyond those three modes, and who is perceived only through unfailing devotion and service. Whenever there is bhakti, there must be three things present: the devotee, the devotion, and the love. Without these three, bhakta, bhakti, bhagavan, there is no meaning to the word bhakti. Karda Muni fixed his mind on the Supreme Brahman and realized it through bhakti or devotion service. This indicates that he fixed his mind on the personal feature of the Lord, because bhakti cannot be executed unless one has a realization of the personal feature of the absolute truth. Gunava Bhasa. So bhakti is what? Bhakti means loving service. And the love and the service can only happen if they're person, two persons. So one person is not, other person is Bhagwan, and the relationship with that, or the service that the bhakta does for Bhagwan, that is bhakti, that is devotion service. Means both the person have to be there. It cannot be in person. In person or Brahm Jyoti, what service one can do for Brahm Jyoti? You cannot make a thali of bhoga and we say, oh, Brahm Jyoti is everywhere. I can offer anywhere, everywhere. There cannot be any loving relationship. For relationship, you need two persons. So this is what Prabhupada is saying. For a bhakti, one has to have realization of the personal feature of the absolute truth. He is beyond the three modes of material nature, but it is due to him that three modes of material nature are manifested. In other words, although the material energy is an emanation of the Supreme Law, he is not affected as we are by the modes of material nature. We are conditioned souls, but he is not affected, although the material nature has emanated from him. So we are conditioned, but he is not. We are in the three modes of nature, but he is not. Although three modes of nature come from one of his energies. He is a supreme living entity and is never affected by Maya, but we are subordinate, minute living entities, prone to be affected by the limitations of Maya. If he is in constant contact with the Supreme Lord by devotion service, the conditioned living entity also becomes freed from the infection of Maya. So conditioned living entity, although in Maya, but if he engages in devotional service is transcendental. Our consciousness might not be. But bhakti is transcendental, Bhagwan is transcendental. So when we come in contact with two, we slowly can become transcendental or regain our original position. This is confirmed in Bhagavad Gita, Sagunam Samtitiyata. A person engaged in Krishna consciousness is at once liberated from the influence of the three modes of material nature. Here, of course, Bhagavad Gita says at once liberated. But that depends on what level of bhakti we are performing. So bhakti is so powerful that at once we can go beyond the three modes of material nature. Means all our activities, all our consciousness, all our doubts, all our thoughts, everything can be beyond the three modes. In other words, once the conditioned soul engages himself in devotional service, he also becomes liberated like the Lord. So once we engage in devotional service, but that devotional service has to be very, very, very pakka. Text 44. Nir ahankritir nirmamascha nirdvandva samdrik swadrik pratyak prashanta dhira dhira prashantor mir ivodadhi. Thus he gradually became unaffected by the false ego of material identity and became free from material affection. Undisturbed, equal to everyone, and without duality, he could indeed see himself also. His mind was turned inward and was perfectly calm, like an ocean, unagitated by waves. When one's mind is in full Krishna consciousness and when one fully engages in rendering devotional service to the Lord, he becomes just like an ocean, unagitated by the waves. This very example is also cited in Bhagavad Gita. It's cited towards the end of second chapter. One should become like an ocean. Ocean is filled by many thousands of rivers, and millions of tons of water evaporates into clouds. Yet the ocean is the same unagitated ocean. The laws of nature may work, but if one is fixed in devotional service at the lotus feet of the Lord, he is not agitated, for he is introspective. He does not look outside to material nature, but he looks into the spiritual nature of his existence. With a sober mind, he simply engages in the service of the Lord. Thus, he realizes his own self without false identification with matter and without affection for material possessions. Such a great devotee is never in trouble with others because he sees everyone from the platform of spiritual understanding. He sees himself and others in the right perspective. So that is the effect. I mean, that is the beginning of devotional service, we can say. Of course, it's when somebody is doing yoga practice, it comes after a very long time. But this is beginning of devotional service. Means this is what Arjuna was also asking Krishna. What are the symptoms of his Sthit Pragya Muni? Second chapter. How does he walk? How does he sit? How does he engage his senses, and how does he talk? So Sthit Pragya Muni, and again Krishna says he has full control of his senses. He's not agitated by even a big disturbance cannot agitate him. And here Kardama Muni is showing by his example that his mind was completely focused on the Supreme Lord. So mind is focused. It doesn't mean we have to go and sit and do meditation, then only becomes Sthit Pragya. In devotional service also, one becomes Sthit Pragya, because yoga means to connect our mind. First, the process of yoga means first to control our mind. So devotional service, bhakti, what we are trying to perform. So in that, we control our mind and engage our mind in the service of the Lord. Engage all our senses in the service of the Lord. So slowly, when the mind comes in control to be engaged in the service of the Lord. So no agitation of mind means nobody, no person, no incident can disturb our mind in any way, disturb our mind in any way from serving the Lord, from thinking of the Lord, from being favorable to everybody. It's not easy, because in Kali Yuga the mind is the most difficult to control. Most difficult. But the bhakti process, especially chanting, is so powerful, so sublime that it can control the agitated mind. We read about different devotees. We read about Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. We can say he's the Supreme Lord, but he has come in the form of a devotee. And we read about so many devotees, especially in Gaudiya Vaishnava, Acharyas and devotees. But reading is good, so we get the inspiration, we get motivation. In fact, when we read or hear about great devotees of the past, and when we hear with faith and appreciation, then by the mercy of those devotees, we get some of the qualities of those devotees in us. Or we develop a desire to develop those qualities in us. And by mercy of Krishna, those qualities can appear, can manifest in us. So it depends whichever degree we want. But then what? Then our test will come. And then we'll see how many qualities we have really developed. Hearing is great. Hearing, chanting, service, everything is great. Association, wonderful thing. But main thing is when the test comes, then what do we do? So if we fail or if we pass by some grace marks, we again pick ourselves up, just remove the dust, keep going, again keep going. This is our test. This is the only thing that we have to do. We may try to make sure that we make progress. Okay, I didn't have enough tolerance when something happened. Next time, even if worst things happen, I will be tolerant. I'll be patient. I'll not retaliate. I'll not get angry. So somehow we have to develop these qualities. We have to have full faith in Krishna. Just like, I think I have posted this story. If not, then like this young man, young girl, they just got married and they were crossing the river in a boat. And somehow there were severe thunderstorms and there was the rain was coming and the river was getting flooded and the water was shaking the boat and the girl was getting disturbed, girl was getting afraid, but the man was keeping quiet, he wasn't disturbed, he was no problem at all. And the girl, she asked the man, that, how come you're not scared? How come you're not afraid? How come you're not disturbed? Look at the waves in the sea, in the river. We might drown and the boat might go upside down and we might drown, we can die. But the man was still undisturbed, he was sitting calmly. So he listened to his wife, newlywed wife. And like in the marriages, when we go, we keep a sword with us. So he took out the sword and he put the sword at his wife's neck. And the wife said, what are you doing? And I'm asking you a serious question. You're taking out the sword and putting on my neck. Is that going to help us from drowning? So man said, I put the sword at your neck. Aren't you afraid of the sword? She said, no, why should I be afraid? It's in your hands and you're not going to kill me. You're my loving husband. The man put the sword back and he said, exactly. This is whatever Krishna is showing us. It's his sword and it's in his hands. Whatever the material energy, whatever this river is doing, he's not going to kill us. But that faith has to be there. And that faith will come only when we have a relationship, when we have developed a relationship with Krishna. And everything that we do, all our practices are basically towards developing that relationship, that faith in Krishna. So no matter what happens, we remain undisturbed with full faith in Krishna. Mare Krishna Rakhe ke and Rakhe Krishna Mare ke. That kind of faith is required. And Kardamuni had full faith. He left his house, left his wife in care of Kapil Muni, and he has gone to the forest. And in the forest, no fire, no shelter, still he was undisturbed. So we'll stop here. See anybody has any questions or comments.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much, Prabhu, for the wonderful class.
Thank you.
So many nice points you covered. Yeah, there are so many agitating situations which come up in our life, and we resolve never to get angry or react in such situations. But often we react, and sometimes some even leave a scar on our life, and we are it's very difficult to forgive the people who have acted wrongly in our life. So how do how do we see them as the sword of Krishna? Until we do
Well,
that, we
that's,
can't forgive.
yeah, that is true. But that's where the knowledge, the association, the hearing, everything they come in picture. What is
We
what is
know
the
that.
result? I mean, what's the result of this reading every day? We should develop faith in Krishna.
Yes, Prabhu. No, we know the forgiveness is very important even for a Brahmana, and to become a devotee of the Lord means it's a very basic quality. But in thinking about the past, the incidents which happened, why we are failing to see that as the hand of God. So that is the biggest challenge. So
I
how you
know.
said somehow we have to cultivate these qualities. That
Yeah.
somehow is what. So it
At
develops with
least,
time, with
at
practice of
least,
devotional service.
at least, if we take a resolution that I'll not take revenge, I'll not retaliate. Even if we cannot get this thing out of our mind in the beginning,
Right,
at least
right.
we come, I will not retaliate.
Hari bol.
Hare
It
So
Krishna,
will
sir.
help. It will help.
yes, Prabhu, this is really very truthful.
Yeah, Hare Krishna, sir. I have another point here to make. Speaking about forgiveness, the
Uh-huh.
point is, when we become strong, it's become easier for us to forgive because only a weak seeks revenge, is what I feel. It's easier to forgive, when you feel that you are strong enough, to forgive. And we become strong when we do a lot of chanting and, yes, reading and like listening to Bhagavatam. It makes you stronger, and then eventually, when you become stronger, it becomes easier to forgive. We seek revenge because we feel that we are weak inside, and then being weak, that if we don't seek revenge, we'll feel even more pettier. You know? So it's all about ego satisfaction, that I will bring somebody down. You know, it makes me feel comfortable, but only when I grow in love of Lord Krishna. I know that I have held something very big. It doesn't really matter about these worldly transactions. Just one perspective I
True.
just put across. Yeah.
Uh, true. When we become strong, we can forgive. But a devotee, on the other hand, I mean, there are different qualities or different gradations, different levels of devotees. A devotee does not forgive. Why? What does it mean? What it means is, he says, this was due to my karma, I got it. What is there to forgive?
Yep. Right.
Krishna arranged my karma to come back to me. I mean, forgiveness can also bring pride in us. A devotee wants to remain humble.
Yes, sir. Very true.
Even beyond that,
Very
now
beautiful.
even goes devotees even go beyond that stage. Not just remain humble, not just depend upon Krishna. They work for the well-being of the person who have done harm to them. Now that is even higher quality. I know it's difficult. I know it's not easy to develop, but we have to.
Yeah, it's a higher
Prabhu.
quality. Yeah, yeah. Difficult to imagine at this point, but then yes, it's a very higher state of being.
Yep.
Prabhuji, I was reading one purport in which Prabhupada says that one should, it's not possible to control anger, So whenever we have to get angry, we have to get angry with those people who become blasphemous of God and his devotees. Now, if somebody is blaspheming the Vaishnavas, angry with him, how do we express that anger? It's not just simply, oh, he blasphemed, I will also blaspheme him. That becomes like a revenge. But in anger, what can we do? Like Arjuna fought with Kauravas without the consciousness that he is the doer. So like this, how can we show our anger towards those? Now you said one very beautiful subtle point. You are working for the reform, but how do we do it?
Well, even I don't have control on my anger, so I don't know how to do it. See, Arjuna fought. Yes, Arjuna was angry in that war, but he fought because Krishna told him. He was fighting for Krishna.
Right.
Are we fighting for Krishna? Are we fighting for Prabhupada? And anger doesn't mean we have to become red hot, iron eyes, then only be angry, we show our anger. Anger means we still want to work for the benefit of the person who's blaspheming.
Right.
And it depends on the situation, time, place, circumstance, how we show the anger.
Right. Okay,
So there are
Prabhu, I
many
got
things,
you.
many criteria.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna, Vita, how are you?
I'm good, thank you, Prabhuji. So, like, for me, Bhakti philosophy is very, very higher. Although you always say Bhakti is very easy, but it is like, for me, very, very difficult. I mean, suppose the way you mentioned that there are types of devotees. So, like, when we talk about types of people like sattvic quality, rajasic quality, and tamasic quality. So, like, when one has a more tamasic quality, then how can we like bring bhakti in their life? Suppose like they don't want to even hear the God's name, they don't want to even believe in God. So in such cases, like how can we chant even in such cases? So can you please give me some ideas in this case?
Well, Prashadam always works.
Okay.
If nothing else, the Prashadam definitely works. And everybody likes, I mean, you don't tell them Prashadam if they're so against it. You can say this is good food, and everybody likes good food.
That's a good idea. And how about like if we talk about our vasanas, sometimes some vasanas are very strong. Even though you are aware of your negativities, you want to come out of your own negative, tendencies, but because of your prarabdha, I would say that the way you mentioned about your karma, so like still you're struggling much. So what is the best way to like, what is the best weapon to kill this demon? Like, except chanting, because suppose again I would say ki, like chanting is a very uh, higher level of process, so in such cases what could be the other steps?
See, vasana is what? Unfulfilled material desires, which are in the forefront. There's so many material desires in the background, but some are in the forefront. So, and they are unfulfilled. And we have, the consciousness has those impressions, sanskaras, very much deeply rooted in that.
Yeah.
So like Krishna says in second chapter, give the higher taste, the lower taste will go away. Slowly. So we give the higher taste. We develop the higher taste of bhakti, of service, of chanting, of reading. And basically it's a game of the mind. And mind, whenever we are free, mind will say, oh, go towards that, whether it's whatever. negative things, we do things unfavorable for bhakti. We do. It's the mind takes us towards that. So we try to engage ourselves 24 hours or as much as possible. So mind doesn't even have a chance to go towards those desires.
All right. So, okay. And thank you so much. And the last, my last question is, can we really get rid of our prarabdha karma by doing punyam in this current life?
No, prarabdha karma can only be nullified by bhakti, not punya.
Oh.
Punya creates another karma.
Oh, okay. So, fine.
It's better to do punya than not to do anything else. Yeah, it's good, but best is bhakti.
So punyam and bhakti, how can you differentiate? Because punyam is, are you talking about the philanthropists who are doing all the activities in the name of, goodness, societies and all, by making hospitals, by doing some donations and all activities for the poor and all, that is called punyam?
Yeah, but the same thing, same activity can become bhakti depending upon our consciousness.
Okay. So it's all about our consciousness.
Yeah. Even going to the temple, is it bhakti or is it punya? Depends on our consciousness.
Right. Yes, because the other day, Guru Mataji was mentioning about 4 types of bhaktas like Artha, Artharthi, Jnani and Jignasu. So we have to see in those categories where we are falling into.
Yeah.
All right, Prabhuji, appreciate. Thank you so much.
Okay. Thank you all very much. You all have a wonderful day. Hare Krishna. Jai Shri Ram.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Jai Srila Prabhupada.
Jai Shri